Hi, my name is Lynda Horgan and I am an artist and painter living in Killarney, County Kerry. Today I was going to talk to you a little bit about my work and maybe a lot about my process, really, how my work comes about and why I work the way I do. So today I have brought you to my studio and I'm just going to start really, I guess, talking through my process. So I start nearly all my paintings, they start with a walk. I do an awful lot of hiking and an awful lot of walking in the woods and up the mountains, and I'm blessed really to be living in an area of such immense natural beauty, and that's where my paintings get their starting point, or thoughts kind of about journeying through the forest, and this time and passage of time plays an awful lot of influence in my work. The mediums I work with, actually, I work a lot with oil paint, but I use a cold wax medium. So basically it's a mixture of beeswax and damer resin and solvent. So it's mixed to different capacities, so you can have it really, really heavy or really light. And this allows for a lot of scraping and a lot of working back into the work. So you can work really, really heavy and opaque, or you can have really, really light translucent layers. And I've been working with cold wax medium and oils with over 10 years now, and it's something I'm definitely going to continue with. My starting point, actually, you'll see on the wall behind me here a little bit, is quite large. I start with charcoals and drawings and very free kind of in the drawing process. I'm not looking for a direct representation of the forest. It's not what my work is about. So it's a little bit more about the concept of this walk or the journey or this passage and feelings in relation to that. I do think walking, changes your mind, it changes your mindset, and there's a little play on that as well throughout the work. So I work an awful lot with kind of charcoal powders and graphite and pencils, and the application, I'm not very particular. The application is very heavy-handed, so I use like scrubbers and household products. I have dishwashing scrubbers, and a lot of different applications. I use what's to hand, and I enjoy that process very much. It becomes, it makes for a real nice working surface in the paintings, and when it gets to the later stages of applying the paint, you have a really good ground already in place to work on. So kind of, I guess the ideas around my work, it's not all very serious. There's a lot of there's a play, this series that I'm going to show you a little later on in my slide clip is called Into the Woods, and that's a play or a bit of humor on the Grimm brother tales. Don't go into the woods, definitely don't go in there alone, and definitely not if you're a female, and I guess that's what I do all the time. So I like the humor in it, and it's it is fun to do that. I don't know if you can see kind of behind me the starting point is, these are quite large. Some of them are a lot smaller. So I work in different scales, and the last little while my scale has been growing and getting quite large, which gives me great freedom with the paint application later. A lot looser, and work with very large brushes. So I work with household brushes. So I'm not very particular, and these are quite large. I'm not very particular about buying artist brushes or stuff. I will use artist paints for the quality, but not the brushes and stuff. It doesn't bother me. So I guess that's a little bit about me and a little bit about my practice, and we might just talk you through some more of how I go about my paintings through the slideshow. Thanks. This is one of the paintings from the series Into the Woods that I spoke about earlier, and I think it gives a nice example of the materiality of the work. So you can see just over in this section the transparency and the translucidity of using the cold wax medium and just building up the layers in a very light fashion with watered down colors, and it works well, especially for water. And you can see here the heavier sections where the wax can be built up with the paint also. So this is Into the Woods Merge, and it's using a lot more chalk pastels and oil pastels, and they're sealed within the painting by using the cold wax. And I look a lot at other artists, and certainly for these series of paintings I was looking a lot at Klimt and Bernard, and I think that their influence can be seen in the works. So this is Into the Woods Trail. I spoke to you earlier, I guess, about not representing what I see on my walks or the photographs that I use for my walks. It's not a direct representation, and it's more about the feelings and the way of looking at it. How it comes across on the canvas can be quite abstract. So it's hard to see on this slide, but there are a lot of textures within this painting. So I'm just going to show you an up close in the next one. Yeah, so you can see here how thick the paint is applied in sections, and this is actually using plaster Paris and wax and paint. I use quite a lot of materiality and different materials within my work, and it just adds to the surface history of the painting. So this is Into the Woods Merge, and I guess it's about being inside looking out, inside the woods, looking through the woods out into a clearing. This painting is using only the cold wax medium and oil paint. I didn't overlay with pastels, or I didn't overlay with chalk pastels or oil pastels in this work. And I guess working a lot with pattern and the patterns formed by the leaves coming across the canvas, and trying to make sense of how to approach that within my work. So this is actually a diptych, so it's two paintings that are combined together. I like working in this way because you can add a third panel and a fourth panel, and the painting itself can continue to expand depending on what form it takes and kind of what I'm looking for within the works. So this painting is definitely utilizing more of the drawings and the charcoal drawings that I start with in my works usually. There is actually only very, very light washes of oil paint in this. It is mainly made up with chalk and oil pastels that are overlaid and sealed with the cold wax medium and then worked over again. So just a slightly different approach to the same theme, I suppose. So this painting is called Clearing, and it's a large piece. It is 3.5 feet by 2.5 feet, and I put this piece in because sometimes paintings are a struggle, and this one certainly was. I was coming and going from this painting for over a year, and just couldn't quite get it to work out for me, and couldn't get the colours or the patterns to work. So it just took a bit of a struggle on this one, but got there in the end. So this is Into the Woods Whisper, and it's a later painting in the series than the ones that I showed you previous. And the paint is getting quite heavy. I know it's hard to see within a flat slideshow, but I'll show you an up close picture now in a minute, which will demonstrate it more clearly. So in these sections, the paint is quite loose and quite runny, and then over in these sections, I guess where the vegetation is, it is really, really heavy, and what I spoke about in my studio practice about scraping in and using scrapers, and you'll see here in the next slide. Yeah, so you can see that there is an awful lot of layering, overlayering, and scraping back into the work. And I like this passage, kind of like the journeying of through the forest. It's like a journey through the painting. So you can see back to the original layers, and then the layers that are on top, and you have the surface history within the work itself. So this is Into the Woods Dissolve, and as I said earlier, Klimt has been a strong influence for this series of work, and this painting certainly is a nod to Klimt and the way he applies paint, and kind of a study, I guess, of the way he applies paint. So it is made up, this image wasn't from a drawing, it was made up by direct application of dots and lines and colour and overlaying of these dots and lines and colour to build the image within the work. So slightly different approach to the way I normally work, but yeah, I think the effect is quite successful. So this is an up close of a painting I'm going to show you in a minute, and I think you can see here in these sections just how heavy the paint has been applied. So this is quite Mala-like actually. There's so much wax in the paint that you can kind of push it into the surface, and you can see the scraping back and the layering quite clearly. And yeah, I guess this is a better example maybe of the layering process and the pulling back to the first layers so that they become visible. And I like working this way. I think it creates a really nice surface history within the work. And you can see over in this section, actually, this is just thread and twine kind of sealed within the work with the cold wax medium. And I use, I think I spoke earlier, I use what's to hand in my studio. So sometimes the materiality of the work, I've used ash, I've used bark, and you can seal it within the cold wax to create nice surface histories. Yeah, so this is Into the Woods Glade, and the two close-ups I showed you actually are from this piece. So you can see the green kind of heavier patches up here, and maybe just make out the thread down here within this piece. So I think that gives you a good idea of maybe me and my work and what I'm about. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Kanturk Arts Festival and everyone involved in giving artists a space, especially during these times where galleries are closed and a lot of exhibitions have been cancelled. That it's fantastic to have the support and the platform provided by the Kanturk Arts Festival, and I'm certainly very grateful.